Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. Now, before we get into it, I'd just like to inform you about a new website selling quality current and retro Spurs jerseys, okjersey.com. They sell all current and retro Tottenham Hotspur shirts in all sizes. They sell the current fan and player versions, as well as the 80s and 90s retro shirts, including my very favourite, the 1991 FA Cup final shirt. You can order very easily from okjersey.com, and if you use the code Chris, you will receive an 8% discount off your final order. You can also use the QR code on the top left of your screen. And by the way, they also have some training wear here and the 25-26 colour special edition jersey. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well, and welcome back to another edition of the Daily Tottenham Transfer News Show. My name is Chris Cowlin, and today I'll be joined, as usual, by Craig Dearman. We'll be covering all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. Now, make sure if you're watching on YouTube, you hit that subscribe button, press like, comment below, and turn on that notification bell so YouTube informs you every single time we upload a video and go live. And we're also live on Facebook and X. We're going to get into all of the stories. Now, today is the 11th of January, day 11 of the January transfer window. There is now 22 days left of this window. Of course, it closes on the 2nd of Feb at 7 p.m. Now, before we get into it, let's say hello to Craig. Craig, how are you?
Yeah. I'm okay. After yesterday's result, that's all I can say.
Yep. Right. Let's go on to talk about the January transfer window because, as you've alluded to, Spurs are out of another competition. We were meant to be fighting on all fronts in this season under Thomas Frank, and we are very, very quickly out of both domestic cup competitions. Thomas Frank on the January transfer window, he said, in terms of the transfer market, I've said many times, we're out there working very hard, trying to improve the squad. Now, for anyone asking about Thomas Frank's future, because there are a lot of reports at the moment, a lot of rumours about Thomas Frank possibly departing the football club in the very near future after another defeat, after more boos at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. He has insisted he retains the support of the Tottenham Hotspur hierarchy, stating completely feel the support, no doubt about that. Of course, we're disappointed by the result and the fact that we don't have better results. We need to put more and better performances together to keep pushing forward. Craig, we have discussed Thomas Frank at length throughout all of these shows and podcasts, fan shows, etc. So I'm going to move very swiftly on to talk about Radu Dragusin, who we all expected to go out on loan because Roma, of course, have come in for him. Fiorentina were also interested. Now, Fabrizio Romano on Radu, he has stated the player has already said yes to Roma. Radu is ready to join Roma. He has let Tottenham know that he wants to go to Roma, and he would welcome the move. The opportunity to return to Italy after a long time out due to injury. Football.London on this story in the last few hours have stated that Spurs rejected the loan offer from Roma for Radu. The Daily Mail have also reported on this. Tottenham are understood to have rejected the approach from Roma to take centre-back Radu Dragusin on loan. The Romanian international was on the bench against Aston Villa. Now, of course, we know that Radu's agent, talking to Ray Sport in Italy, he has stated, I'm waiting for Tottenham to say yes to Roma to get into it. There are a couple of offers for him, but Italy is a special place for Radu, and he did very well before in Serie A. He is a gladiator, and gladiators are at home in Roma. Are you surprised that Tottenham have turned this offer down? Because I must admit, I am. The player certainly needs game time. I suppose that they might have said no because Roma want an option to buy, and I expect Spurs may want to keep him at the end of the season. Are you surprised by this one?
I am a little bit, actually. Yeah, because Dragusin is certainly not going to be number one choice. A decent enough backup, but never been fully convinced of Dragusin, but he's had some good games. I mean, when you saw him, I think it was in the Euros, was it, playing for his home country? He was actually outstanding. He was brilliant. So you can see there's a player in there. I think he certainly probably suits the Italian game perhaps better than the English game, but he is a solid, strong defender, just not first choice at Spurs, and I don't think he's ever going to be. So it does surprise me that the club have turned this down. Perhaps the offer just wasn't quite right, and Roma will come back in perhaps and see if they can, negotiate with Spurs. And it's clear that the player wants to go. So I suppose we're going to have to wait and see on this one. Like I said yesterday, I think it purely depends if Spurs sell him or loan him or whatever it is. Then do they see we've got enough strength at the centre-back options for the rest of the season? And then does Vuskovic come back in the summer and be that, the fourth one of the four or not? It's going to be interesting to see. A few weeks left in the window yet.
I suppose the other thing is that Spurs need to be extremely sensible at the moment, because the amount of injuries that we've got at the football club and the injury record in the past couple of seasons, we can't have any more injured players, and Spurs need to do a lot of work in this January transfer window in the remaining 3 weeks or so. Let's talk about Souza, who apparently is having his medical at Hotspur Way either today or tomorrow. The Santos manager has come out and said on this story, he was asked yesterday about his move to Tottenham. He said, "I don't know if it's completely settled. There are several factors. The player has grown a lot in recent months. He's experienced some tough moments and responded well. There's a context, family, club, the player's future. We have to respect that, listen to all sides and see what is best. What's best for Santos, and without forgetting that he is a player who was born here. I don't know if it's finalised, but it's on track for him to become another Santos player in the world of football." Craig, we've spoken about this at length. He's expected to join Spurs in the next 24 to 48 hours. Let's see what other business at Spurs are going to get done. Let's come on to talk about forward Matisse Tell. The Daily Mail, another story about Tell possibly going out on loan. They are stating that the player is keen to go out on loan to gain more game time and push for selection to the French national squad ahead of the World Cup. The 20-year-old made his loan move from Bayern Munich permanent in the summer for £30 million, but has started just 6 matches under Thomas Frank, though he has scored 3 goals. Tell, I think, does need a lot more game time, but like I've said, and I feel like we are repeating ourselves a lot in these last few episodes with the reports out there at the moment. The player needs game time, but of course we can't afford to let any more players go out until Spurs actually get business done. That would be the sensible idea, wouldn't it?
It certainly would. And to be honest, I thought Tell was good yesterday. Quite surprised he was taken off, to be honest. Players like Matisse, so you can tell that he just wants to. There's a passion in him. There's something in him. He's not quite the finished article, of course, yet. But yesterday he was one of those players that was actually trying to get us up the pitch, even in the first half. So we certainly shouldn't be letting Tell go. I can see why he wants to go out on loan and get game time, but we certainly shouldn't be letting him go until we get some reinforcements through the door.
Yep. Another one, Sky Germany. Tottenham will wait until the end of the season before making a final decision on the long-term future of midfielder Jao Palinia. The club currently hold an option to make his loan move from Bayern Munich permanent for a fee of €25 million, but Spurs are in no rush to commit as they continue evaluating his impact, fitness and suitability within the squad. He had the most touches in the game yesterday against Villa, 66. Of course, he got in a bit of a ruck with the Aston Villa squad at the end of the game yesterday. What did you make of his performance yesterday? And a very quick answer here, Craig. Would you like to see him signed permanently, or do you need to see more in this second half of the season?
As yesterday's performance, I thought the second half he was probably, you could argue, he was the best player on the pitch. He was outstanding. In fact, I was watching him for a long period of time and he was just everywhere, slinging in tackles, just doing what Palinia does, to be honest with you. And you're never going to get a progressive ball carrier or somebody who's forward passing looking for through balls, but that's not what his game's about. If you employ Palinia to do a job and do exactly what you want him to do, as long as you surround him with the players that he can play with the best, don't let him do what he's good at, basically, is what I'm saying, and let everybody else get him, lay the ball off and give it to people that can, like the Javis and that can do the magic stuff. Just let him do that. I think if you surround him with the right players, I think personally, obviously you're going to have to see. I think the best thing to do is take a view at the end of the season, absolutely, what the club want to do. But if he plays every game like he played the second half yesterday, I think you've got to sign him, because he's somebody in that position that they're few and far between that can actually do that job. But you've got to have the right manager playing him with the right players at the right time.
Craig, have you got any to go through?
No, you've covered all of them. There's literally not much today, sadly.
Okay, I've got one more. Team Talk have just reported that Spurs have made an initial offer of around £52 million for Real Madrid winger Brahim Diaz. Tottenham have identified the Moroccan attacker as a prime target to bolster Thomas Frank's misfiring attack. Diaz, 26, is currently representing Monaco at the AFCON and has been in fine form for the tournament's hosts. So far, he has scored in all 5 of Morocco's matches at the tournament, helping the host nation to set up a semi-final meeting against Nigeria on Wednesday. The winger, who previously represented Spain internationally and scored on his only appearance for the new European nation, joined Real Madrid from Manchester City in 2019 and has since spent time on loan at AC Milan. In total, he has made 139 appearances for Real Madrid across all competitions, scoring 21 goals and providing 23 assists. Craig, I tell you what, I'm going to cover this very briefly and just say that Spurs need real quality in this January transfer window, because every single stat, and I know for people who are really behind Thomas Frank, and for people that say, look, just give Thomas Frank time, and when his attacking players come back, and Dominic Solanke being back is a huge plus that I'll mention as well. All of the stats that I'm seeing are incredibly bad. Every single stat that we're seeing, this reminds me at the moment of the 90s. And although in the 90s we had flair players that that could, if they got on the ball, they could put one in the top corner, they could create a bit of magic, they could score a goal. And I feel like we are really, really lacking a lot of quality throughout this squad at the moment. So on this, I think this one is extremely unlikely. And it's funny, actually, because we've mentioned at the start of the window, Jan Diomande, of course, the RB Leipzig star. We were we quoted £87 million if he was to leave the German club. And then Jan Diomande came out yesterday in an interview and said if he was to go to the Premier League, the only Premier League team that he would like to go to is Liverpool, because he's a Liverpool fan and his dad wants him and dreams of him playing at Anfield. Spurs need to up their game. I know Thomas Frank has said that the hierarchy and everyone involved at Tottenham are working extremely hard to sign players. They need to work harder, in my opinion, because Spurs need real quality. Thomas Frank's stats at the football club this season are really, really, really poor. No matter how people want to dress it up, whether they talk about injuries, whether they talk about style of play, things need to change. Things cannot go on the way that they are. Boos at the stadium again yesterday at halftime and full time. So many fans are just so deflated. And I tell you what, Craig, I'm struggling myself with this. I just feel really drained, if I'm completely honest. And Spurs need some sort of lift, and fast.
They do, and it's a pretty bad place to be in. I've lived through the 90s watching Spurs, yet we've always had a Ginola or somebody like that, like you mentioned, to get the crowd off their seats. You could argue we had Kudus, but really he wasn't performing to his top ability in December and up until when he got injured, and the whole place is just so flat. The crowd in the stadium yesterday was really good up until a point, but obviously then the crowd did get behind the team as much as they could yesterday. But then that first half display again, it just wasn't Tottenham. I can't put it any other way. It just wasn't Spurs. It's not what we want to see.
The fans have been brilliant throughout this tough period, and the fans haven't stopped singing. The away fans are excellent. The fans yesterday against Villa were really up for the game, and there's no doubt. And Thomas Frank has actually praised the fans yet again, and rightly so, because I feel like we are being very, very patient at the moment. And I've always said to you, Craig, over the years that I've known you, I always feel that little bit more upset when we go and lose a cup game and go out of the competition, because the FA Cup, I was speaking to Mickey Hazard before the game, and I said to Mickey Hazard, what does the FA Cup mean to you? And you could tell in the short interview that I did with him, it means so much to players like that, or ex-players, legends, and it means a lot to me, the FA Cup. And although Thomas Frank went strong, that first half, the game was won in the first half. It was done. And then, yes, we showed a lot of energy. Yes, there were a lot of positives to talk about in the second half. But you cannot go out and perform like that in the first half when you know that the team can perform like that in the second. It's not good enough. And like I said, the stats do not lie. And every stat is absolutely damning towards this team, the players, and Thomas Frank. You know, a number of players come out and say it's not good enough. And they feel gutted about, going out of the cup. Well, this is yet another year, and we haven't won an FA Cup since 1991. So 35 years and counting now. Anything else to add?
Other than the fact on that I totally agree 100%. All the stats are down. They're low. They're not good at all. Any reading, we're supposed to be competing on all fronts. We're clearly not. We're nowhere near it. In my opinion, yesterday, one of two things happened in that second half. Either the players took it upon themselves to throw out the tactical playbook of Thomas Frank and just get on with it like they did against Bournemouth, or the manager told them to play a different way. Both of those, in my opinion, are pretty damning on Thomas Frank, because if it was the manager that told them to change the way they play, why weren't they doing it in the first half and going at the team? We did have Villa on the back foot. Yes, there were times when they were just soaking up the pressure and they looked dangerous on the attack, but that's Aston Villa. They've been very good this season. Both their goals were well-crafted goals. We could talk about the defending all day, but some of the interchanging and some of the one-touch passing was very good from Aston Villa. And initially, that wasn't even Villa's strongest team out either. So it shows you how strong Aston Villa are. In my opinion, I'm just, I think anybody who watches this channel regularly will know that I kind of lost a bit of faith with Thomas Frank well over a month ago, possibly two. I tried to change my opinion on it, thinking, okay, look, you've got to give him time, blah, blah, blah. I just think he's come to a point now where the manager has to go. That's my opinion. I think Frank needs to go. We've got two winnable games coming up. Yes, but these are games we should be winning, by the way, Burnley and West Ham. We've got a very tough February. I just think you bring in another manager now, whether it be an interim, people can say all day, we can't keep changing managers. I'll go back to what you said, Chris. This can't continue. We've been saying that for a month and a half now. At least a month and a half. This can't continue. This can't continue. Well, it is continuing. Let me tell you, anybody that's still on has got Thomas Frank's back, essentially, this has continued and it is continuing. Talk about injuries all you like. It's not good enough. Something's got to change. The manager puts the team out. The manager tells the team how to play. It's clearly not working. No matter who we play, it's not working, and something has to change very quickly.
From everything I'm told and hearing, Craig, the club really want it to work under Thomas Frank. My reply to that would be, if you want it to work, you need to back the guy and you need to give him, a lot more in this January window. How disappointed would you be? And I'll say this as the last point. How disappointed would you be as a Spurs fan if we did get the Souza deal completed in the next 24, 48 hours, and that was the only signing in this January transfer window? Because perhaps the club will feel, well, we're getting Dominic Solanke back now. He's back in the team, made a sub-appearance against Aston Villa. He may get more minutes, may even start against West Ham next Saturday. Kulusevski, we don't know when he's going to return. Apparently, it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks before he can go on the grass again, before they know whether he's got pain again or not, and then he can progress. Destiny Udogie, of course, was back in the squad yesterday as well. So how disappointed would you be if it was just a one signing for Thomas Frank? And how would you see the season panning out if it was just the one?
I think it would almost count as a dereliction of duty if we only got the one signing in. And this kid isn't, I'm sure he's a very good player when you look at his stats, but no experience in the Premier League. There's no guarantee he's going to come good straight away at all. I would be extremely disappointed if that was the only sign in the window. It's clear where we want strengthening and need strengthening. I can't believe that would be the only signing. That's the thing. how could we only sign one player and a 19-year-old kid from the Brazilian league who's got no experience of the Premier League? There's nothing against him at all, Souza. I'm sure he's a very good player, but you can't. That's putting a hell of a lot of pressure on him if you're expecting him to come in, hit the ground running, and be a superstar. Because we don't even need a superstar. We just need somebody who's going to be take the team forward, help the team. If you're putting that much pressure on a left back, it's not the most glamorous signing, obviously, but at least it's another body through the door. But we generally just want to see players come in that are going to help this team and are solid Premier League players. It can't. We surely can't just bring in the one.
Yeah. Vino Venkatesham, Tottenham CEO, is actually at the Tottenham Leicester women game today. And I'll tell you what, the Tottenham Hotspur women are having an absolutely fantastic January transfer window. They actually got a couple of deals set up before the window even started to sign the players on the 1st of Jan. They've signed 4 players so far, a mixture of really good, young, talented players, superstars, and experienced players. And as I said, Vinay is at the game today. So they have certainly put their focus into the women's team so far in this January transfer window. But definitely, in my opinion, they need to be focusing more on the men's team now as well. And also Martin Ho, the Spurs women boss, said that they are not finished in the market. So they're looking at more players. So we need, we need more signings in. Thomas Frank definitely needs a little bit more help. And, we face West Ham United next in the Premier League. I am glad, actually, Craig, that we haven't got a midweek game. I need a bit of a break myself, so as I'm sure a lot of us do. But we will. With that said, we will be back. This is a daily show, so we will be back sometime tomorrow on Monday, where hopefully Spurs will be linked and with more players, quality additions to this squad. And Craig, thanks so much, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening, and try and enjoy your Sunday afternoon and evening, and have a good week. Come on, you Spurs.